afternoon. I have an interesting topic to talk about, demonetization and its impacts. So what exactly is demonetization? When we look at the 500 rupee note or 1,000 rupee note or a 2,000 rupee note, it's written clearly and signed by the Reserve Bank governor, I promise to pay the bearer 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees. It's a promise made by the Reserve Bank governor to the holder of the note. So what does demonetization mean? Demonetization means that the legal status that I have given to this particular note is going to be removed. The announcement that said 4 days ago is that the old 500 and 1,000 rupee notes will not be valid after the 30th of December. Even before that, they will be valid only in a particular way. Why did the government have to do this? Why did they resort to this? Let's try and understand. We know that each economy has a lot of currency in circulation. In India, it's estimated that these high denomination notes approximately total up to something like a little more than 14 lakh crores of rupees. And people say in India there is black money, and part of this money is actually in the black form. So what exactly do we understand when we say black money? Black money is the money that you can't declare as income when you file an income tax. How does black money get generated? Black money gets generated either when people avoid tax, basically leakage from the formal financial system, tax avoidance or corruption, either induced or imposed. I talk about two types of corruption because some corruption is happening because what we are supposed to receive as a right, some of the services either are delayed or denied to us, for which we have to sort of pay more than what we normally pay to the government, where we are forced to sort of indulge in a little bit of corruption. That's what you call induced, I would say forced corruption. The other types of corruption is like when somebody wants to get an undue advantage, or when somebody wants to give an undue advantage by accepting favors, either in the form of money or whatever it is the other types of corruption. When these things happen, money leaks out of the system and changes hands. So this money cannot find itself back into the system. It stays out of the system. So what is the damage for the system? Because typically when money stays in the system, money is spent, we have a multiplier effect. The government gets a lot of taxes, a lot of income, but when the money goes out of the system, when that money gets circulated in a parallel economy, the government would not have income on that. Not only that, it has a lot of bad effects. What are the bad effects? One, this money can get invested into unproductive assets like gold, because we all know gold is valuable, gold is liquid, but gold does not produce cash flow. Okay, so it's not a productive asset. Our other way of looking at it is it goes into real estate, where the actual prices are much more inflated than the registration prices. And again, not very productive asset, especially if you're talking in terms of buying into land that do not cultivable land or whatever it is. So the productivity of this money, it does not get into the economy. So if you typically see on a Saturday, most channels talk about real estate, most newspapers talk about real estate, most of them talk about the prices in different areas of different parts of each city in the country. And if you go to the register office, the registration price is significantly different. So in the process, the government is losing revenue on what it should get. Like for example, when land gets registered, many a time, the price that is reflecting in the registration price could be 1/3, 40%, sometimes even 1/4. So the government does not get the stamp duty on the balance amount. So the government loses money. Even worse things can happen when cash go out of the system. Where this cash can be used, we all know very clearly, the cash can be used to fund militancy, terrorism, even worse, for what you call drug trade, human trafficking. All these things are funded by this black money. So curtailing this black money becomes very, very important. That's the reason the government has done it. Has the demonetization been done in India earlier? Yes, it was done in the 40s. It was done in the 70s. Did we have high denomination notes earlier? Yes, we did have 5,000 rupee notes and 10,000 rupee notes also. So the point is what happened and what's happening now. I think the government has come out with a very well thought out process of converting the old 500 and 1,000 rupee notes into what you call the new ones or a new currency in a very novel way, so that large amounts cannot be converted without very significant effort. So there might be a little inconvenience to what you call a person who sells what you call bananas or samosas. Probably people might be avoiding because they don't have change, or they don't want to use the change because right now the money available is limited. But that's a small price that we have to pay for the country to take a next great step. So that is what you call removal of black money from the system. So out of the 14 lakh crores, if most of the money comes back into the banks, I mean, a good 75-80% could be legitimate money where people keep it at home for what you call a difficult situation. A lot of families, depending on their income, keep anything from 10,000 to 50,000 rupees of cash at home for an emergency or whatever it. All of that will probably come back to the banks. The black money will find it very difficult to come back to the banks because now only 4,000 rupees can be deposited by a person. And of course, any amount of money can be deposited if we can justify. But the government also said very clearly, we are clearly keeping a watch on large sums of money that are being deposited into the banks, and income tax will get alerted. There will be penalties that will be levied. So the large black money, people who have large black money will find it very difficult to convert their money into white money. And this was necessary for the simple reason that, there are a lot of fake currency also that is being in circulation, because countries which are not very favorably disposed towards the country, who want to encourage terrorism and militancy, or also pushing fake currency into India. So keeping all this in mind, this was required. The positive aspect of it is when the money comes back to the banks, all the money may not be withdrawn from the banks, so the banks will be flush with funds. As we know very clearly, in the last 1-2 years, the Indian banking system has been going through a little bit of trouble, so the banks will have more money to lend, and hence probably a positive effect on the economy. Not only that, banks have to follow what is called statutory liquidity ratio and cash reserve ratio, through which the money will move into government securities. When the interest rates will come down, again making it possible for businesses to invest more and also look at a possible higher growth than what we are projecting right now as 7%. I've read reports many times that India would be one of the largest economies, will be as big as US in about 30 years' time. It's very easy to calculate. If you're growing at 7% per year, every 10 years you double your economy. So by 2026 you will be 4 trillion, 2036 you will be 8 trillion, and 2046 you are 16 trillion. But for that you have to grow at 7% for 30 years. It's not very easy. For that to happen, initially the growth will have to be much higher, because later the growth would be slightly lower. So I was wondering how this is going to happen. One, of course, the introduction of GST. Now, of course, the surgical strike on black money, bringing money back into the system, removing the money that is unproductive, and removing all other activities. And this is going to be the impact of demonetization, is what's going to happen. And has the whole thing been done in a systematic way without causing any trouble to all of us? I think it has been done. For the simple reason, after the government came to the power, they said very clearly, black money is a big issue. We are going to take steps to cut the black money. Very serious intention of the government was made very clear. Then when this sort of a step to be announced, first of all, you have to ensure that people are financially included. For that, a Jan Dhan Yojana was started, and most families in India have been given an access to bank account. And the third thing is basically giving them an opportunity. Okay, if you made a mistake, if you have some black money, I'm giving you a scheme. Come in, pay your normal tax of 30%. At a 15% penalty. And while that scheme was going on, a lot of people are having a laugh saying that, "Hare, we have seen enough of this, nothing will happen." But at the same time, I think the statement from the government and from the Prime Minister was very clear. If you do not comply, we will show what the government can do. Okay? And ultimately, we're talking about tax compliance. There were times in India where income tax was tax was a little more than 100% on your income, including wealth tax and income tax, so there's no incentive. Over a period of time, the taxes have been rationalized, and today, I think India has got one of the most reasonable direct tax and indirect tax regime. So all the things that are required for us to comply and get into the system and not have any motivation to get out of the system have been put into place before this surgical strike on the black money has happened. I think this is a great step that has happened to India. This probably should help India to grow much more than the 7.5% or 8% that the whole world is projecting. It could be even 10%, in which case our economy can double much faster than what it is. So the point that needs to be understood is black money needs to be removed, and people have to realize very clearly, if you do not comply, you will pay a price, which is what I think the government is doing. And going forward, for this to ensure, and this would succeed, what would the government need to do is probably monitor the sales of gold, and also ensure that the real estate prices are closer to reality, not what they are right now. In any case, I believe that after this has happened, there would be probably a reasonable correction in terms of real estate prices. So that's another thing that probably might happen, because I want you to understand that India is not exactly the richest country. India contributes to 1/3 of the global economy. But can you believe we have 12% of the world's gold? Of course, not with the Reserve Bank of India, mostly with the ladies of this country. But the fact of the matter is, India is not the richest country, but we have some of the richest real estate in this world, in places like Mumbai and Delhi or whatever it is. How does this justify disproportionate ownership of gold, which is not very productive, and extremely high prices of real estate, where you're talking in terms of unaffordable houses? So this has to go, and government would have to take chance and ensure that that this particular thing does not repeat. I think to a large extent, the induced corruption is probably coming under control. I think a lot of transparency is coming into government processes. Everything is going through open auctions. But what do you do about imposed correction? That's another thing that the people need. Small little services that we go for, we should get without paying anything extra. That's something that the government has to ensure. Otherwise, again, the leakages will start. So the government will have to, going forward, use technology. Large transactions, of course, will be monitored. But what do you do about the small part is going to be a very major challenge as far as the government is concerned. And the 2000 note and the new 500 rupee note, I believe, is going to be made available. So people have a lot of doubts. If you're going to prevent black money, why do we have large denominations? Again, 500 rupee notes and 1000 rupee note, 2000 rupee notes. Of course, it's almost any economy, the same thing applies. About 75 to 85% of cash is in large denomination. So is in India. And 500 notes, new notes are being printed, are going to be made available. I'm not the Reserve Bank governor. I'm not the finance minister. I'm not the Prime Minister of India. Why 2000 rupee note? I can only hazard a guess. If the security printing press is only going to print new 500 rupee notes and new 1000 rupee notes, somebody might get an idea that something of this sort is going to happen, which has happened very, very suddenly. I think starting printing 2000 rupee note probably is to give an impression that the government is introducing a new denomination, higher note, while actually printing what you call new 2000 rupee note with higher security, which will be very difficult to probably counterfeit, and also at the same time printing a new 500 note, not giving rise to any idea whatsoever, because this had to be done with what you call complete confidence and complete confidentiality, so that the black money people do not have any option of converting their money, and the white money people have the option of depositing their money. Even that 4,000 rupees per day, if you have to convert, given the working days left, maximum of maybe 1,60,000, 1,80,000 you can deposit, and the government can monitor if somebody is doing 4,000 rupees every day with an Aadhaar card or whatever it is. It's very easy to monitor. So in one fell stroke, the government is going to have access to a fantastic amount of information in terms of what is right and what is not right. And government is very clear in expressing its intention. It's going to act. It's the promise that they came to the government, and that's what they've delivered. I think it's going to be a very good thing for the country going forward. The moral of the story is, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what the country can do for you, what you can do for the country. Thank you.